What's up, guys? It is Trey, Toucan, back with week 2 of our poster design challenge. So far we are at 14 days. I just posted my last poster a few minutes ago, about an hour away from the deadline, but I'm not gonna dilly-dally. Let's just get right into it. Alright, we're here with our first design. I don't really feel like fucking around too much, so we're gonna move pretty quick. Still not sure how long the video is gonna be, but I'll try to go through each design as quick as possible. So, this was my first design of the week, technically day 8. What inspired me to do this? Midterms just came up. That was cool. I didn't actually have many tests, so I had like one class where I had to take a test. A lot of my stuff is like project-based or like paper-based, but basically I was like, midterms, I'm gonna make a test. Ooh, I hate midterms, so I want to be in a positive mindset, so I don't know. Things I used, let's see. For the check marks here, I used the brush tool. So, as you can see, I added a texture to the brush. Not too difficult. I used a different texture for the teacher's note on the paper. And then just for the top, I just used like, I don't even know what font I used. Myriad Pro. So I didn't even use anything like super fancy for the font. It was just kind of a more simple design. Just getting momentum going for the second week. This is arguably probably one of my favorite designs of the week. I probably spent the most time on this design. I went in a few different directions with it before I decided what I wanted to do. So this was the first thing I did. The first thing I wanted to do was I wanted to make a solar eclipse design with the Earth in front of it instead of the moon, because usually when you see an eclipse it's the moon, so I wanted to do the Earth. So I did that, and you know, it doesn't look terrible, but it doesn't really fit the vibe I was going for. Like this mass in the middle, like what the hell is this? It's kind of just like grainy, which is fine. Grainy's good. And then the circle on the outside, it wasn't like clearly an eclipse, so it was kind of just random shit on a page. So I decided not to go that direction, which is why I did this. Now, to actually do this, I used a tool called image tracing. So if you want to do this, you can go here, and window, image tracing. I did black and white. I actually don't even know if I used this version of Earth, but just giving out examples. And then to get the effect on it right now, I had to expand it, and that turns this into a bunch of little individual pieces. And then you can kind of modify this into a shape that you like. For me, it was this, kind of like an open thing where you have continents, but you have a lot of open space in the middle. So I wanted to put text in there, but I did that, and then probably my favorite tool ever, glowing edges tool, which looks stupid now because, you know, it's not worked on at all. I did that in 2 seconds, but look at that, already cool little design thing. You can do a lot with it. In my circumstance, I actually didn't have like a perfect circle, so a lot of this was actually an ellipse. Computer's a piece of shit, my bad. Yeah. I have an ellipse stroke on it. Alright, we're gonna close that. Maybe we can close this. It's annoying like modifying files that you put like texture effects on because it takes like 5 seconds for it to render every time you make a change. So a lot of the times when you're adding effects to something, when you're doing a design, that's like the last thing you want to do, just because it makes your workspace like a much more difficult to maneuver. For the background, all of these I actually custom made. Like this was me. I made my own texture for the first time. It was awesome. I put it in the background. The bigger stars I did too. Really happy with the way that the outer space looked. Overall, very happy with this. It took me about 3 hours, which is the longest I've spent in the poster so far. Alright, this was cool too. So, originally what I wanted to do, I'm going to be saying this a lot because usually when I'm designing, it goes a few different directions before I find something I'm happy with. I might actually have the file. So this is what I wanted to do originally. Like, I wanted to have this picture. I was going to outline all the things and give it like different shades and then do something special with the water and make it look cool. After spending about like 40 minutes tracing the buildings and like modifying the colors, I was like, this is kind of stupid, not worth my time. So I decided to do something else. What I did do was image tracing, and I made that same city black and white. We'll do this shit again. Fuck it. Alright, so you image trace it black and white. You expand it. And then you're here. And as I said, everything is individual, so what you can do is delete shit that you don't like. You do that, and then I added a background, added a gradient to it. And as you can see, it had that nasty little like mix between black and white on the foreground. So what I did actually, this right here, that was the water. And then that's still the background right there, so that's why it looks like that. But yeah, as you can see, same exact thing. And then for the water texture, what I did, basically when I did the image trace, there were these smaller little white lines that were left, which were like genuine like ripple marks on the water. So what I did was I made a copy of that. I made a lot of them white. I made them grouped, and then I added that texture over the entire bit of the water. And then I added the gradient to the background, foreground, made it equal. And then for this, kind of struggled with this for a minute. Just did this little ring. I don't fucking know. For our next design, it was Halloween. So I did a Halloween design. When I think of Halloween, I always think of pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns. So obviously I went with like an orange-black design, just based off that. Oh yeah, this was the thing. So basically what you can do is, like if you want to do this yourself, I know you can't see on the right side, but basically you can lock the layer, make a new layer, and then use like the pen tool and like trace the eyes and shit. And even if you want to do it like super quick, like that's a decent looking eye, right? And then if you want to modify it, you can use the curvature tool over here. And then you can like modify the points and like curve it, or if you double click on a certain point, it smoothens out, which I obviously didn't really want to do in this design because like when you're cutting a pumpkin, like to make like a jack-o'-lantern, you don't really do it cleanly. Like I've never had a pumpkin that looked like super smooth and all like the eye holes and the mouth holes when I cut it, just because you're cutting it with a serrated blade. You're not perfect, so that's why I went for like a sharper look. So for the background, I did a solid color here, face. Guess I did that on the bottom. A lot of patchwork, and then I actually did a border. You might not be able to tell, but I did do a border just because with my original design, it was like a big fucking orange mass in the middle. Yeah, big fucking orange mass. Like, does this look like a pumpkin to you? I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I made it pumpkin shaped. For the background, there's a lot of stuff you could do, I guess. Since I have black, only like 2 colors, what you could do, like you don't even have to like make a mask on something. This was my mask here. I did a black box with a grunge over it, and then that was my mask. But if you really didn't want to do a mask, you could just use a grunge texture and just throw it up on top of like this entire thing. Masks are good when you have like more than one color that you're working with and you only want to like have grunge on a certain bit, but it obviously wouldn't have mattered. Alright, fucking Big Wife. Hold on. I'm hyped. So, the story of Big Wife was I basically was just fucking doing my own thing. And then I'm in a Discord server with a bunch of friends, and they're silly. They're silly guys. So, there was just like a new channel that was opened, and they called it Big Wife. And every day we were talking about Big Wife. I still don't really have a great grasp on what Big Wife is, but I had to make a Big Wife poster. It was in with the group. So what did I do? I made a copy of Big Wife. I transformed it and just reflected it, and then I made a mask on it with a gradient, and then that gives it this. Like a lot of the shit you could find on YouTube, so I learned how to do it. Obviously, make it yourself, but just learning the fundamentals off YouTube is good. And then I did the same thing with the chair. I did the same thing with the text down here. I did the same thing with these little chairs. Like, this is all supposed to be like a very reflective like foreground. And then yeah, again with the chair, I did image tracing. Image tracing is probably the best tool in Illustrator. So if you do use Illustrator and you don't know how to use image tracing, I would definitely play around with it. This was a fun one. This was actually a very fun one. Basically, I made this shape right here with blend mode. How do you do that? Great question. First I started with a line segment. I added a gradient on this bitch. I'm not going to, just because I'm speedrunning this. Distort, transform, zigzag. 3 pixels. Smooth. I think it was 3 pixels. It could have been like 4. Maybe 5. Effect, distort, transform. Transform. 30 degrees. And like, I think it was 5 copies. Oh yeah, and then you have this shape, which is cool. And then you take that shape, and then you make a bigger shape here. This bigger. I think you can literally just like increase the size of the line, because I'm using a line tool here. It's not like an actual shape tool, it's just a line tool. So I make this like fucking 500 appearance tab, zigzag, and then now you can make it a little more wavy. I'm not sure how it's gonna look like with one solid color. I'm just kind of like going through the fundamentals of it. Then right over here is the blend tool. Blend. Alright. I think you actually want to double click it. These are the settings I use, just smooth color and the align to page. I haven't really used the blend tool too much. Basically, you do enough shit right, you can do that. I'll look into that again. I don't want to embarrass myself, but yeah, basically, just made a blend. The way I actually put it on a curve like this was, let's see. I guess I just literally used the pen tool and made like a wavy path for it, and then blend, and then you can like throw your blended wavy shit on that path with replace spine. What the hell do I put on the background? First thing I wanted to do actually was text. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I went with abstract because I don't know, that's what you're talking about. So we used the, hold on, the type on a path tool. I obviously made the path on this like border, wrote on the path. I used custom kerning to add all this like gap between the text, just so it would expand over the length that I wanted it to. And then for the shapes in the background, originally, as you can see, they're solid, but if you wanted to, actually I'll show you, I'll give you a good example here. Let's say that I want my fun colors in the background, like that. Now obviously it looks a little stupid here because the background is blue and whatever, but as you can see, that is not like yellow or purple. The glowing edges effect, it's really strange. It doesn't take the color that you give it, and it doesn't like export that same color. it's kind of got its own color scheme where certain colors give you different colors. For example, let's take this cube here, cube, rectangle. We'll say it's this like weird looking green. Alright, as you can see, like this is pink and it was green. So if you want to play around with it, what you can do is, yeah, you can fuck around with the colors and then it gives you like, oh, my screen is frozen. Eventually I just played around with that until I got the colors that I wanted. Used a few different shapes, rotated them differently, made it look abstract, you know. Just overall really great design, I really liked it. For my last design, sorry this is a lot longer than I expected it to be. I'm not even sure how much of this I can cut out. Basically I went camping over the weekend. A lot of people celebrated Halloween, went partied. I just went and got fucked up in a cabin, which I'll take over a bar any day of the week. I had a bonfire, really nice bonfire. What I did after that, I used the image tracing tool again, but instead of black and white, I used a color mode, which basically takes your image and it makes it look a lot more like watercolor instead of like a super defined thing. You can basically limit it to only a certain amount of colors, which makes an image look a lot simpler. So that definitely has appeal. Took the image, I made a border with the same color of the fire. I added a whole bunch of 888 on the background. Now, what does 888 mean? Things are going in the right direction. It's like an angel, it's an angel number. Good vibes. Put that in the background, and then I did the glowing edges effect on the whole thing. Gave me a really cool effect here. I modified it a little bit, but I didn't want to do it too much just because it was getting late. I also added like a grunge mask. As you can see, I added a transparency mask over the top of this, 60% opacity. Not the original direction I was going to go, but very cool. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'm going to probably modify this a little bit and put it on YouTube and go to bed as my computer shits itself. But I hope you guys all have a good week. I'm going to put out some bangers this week. They're only going to get better. I think compared to last week, my product definitely went in a much more complex direction. I definitely put a lot more thought and effort into each design. So yeah, have a good one, guys.